Hello everyone! Today I'm going to be telling you about conduction. So as you know, I started talking about heat transfer or how thermal energy is transferred, and there are three main ways that you can have, three ways anyway. So you have conduction, convection and radiation, and as I told you, I'm going to do a video about each of them, and today I'm going to be talking about conduction, which happens mostly in solids. Now, conduction by definition is a movement of heat through a substance, normally solids. There could be conduction through fluids as well, okay? But the solids are the better conductors. So conduction is the movement of heat through a substance without the substance actually moving. So what is happening is that the atoms that make up the substance, they are always vibrating, right? The atoms are always vibrating unless they are at a temperature of 0 Kelvin, the absolute zero, which is minus 273.15 degrees Celsius. Now, if the temperature is higher than that, then the atoms are vibrating. Now, the thing that happens is, as you increase the heat, the thermal energy, the atoms are going to vibrate more and more. So, as they vibrate, they pass on their vibrations to the adjacent atoms. And then these atoms are going to vibrate more and more because they receive some energy from the neighboring atoms. And they are going to pass them on the vibrations. They pass the vibrations on to the adjacent atoms and so on. So this one starts from one end and ends on the opposite end, okay? Conduction also causes a solid to expand because what happens is the vibrations are making the atoms to move further apart, and there are several experiments and demos you can do in lessons as well to check not only conduction but also the expansion of solids. So conduction is actually a pretty cool topic. Now, metals, don't forget, a solid expands when it heats up and then it contracts when it cools down, and this is due to the vibration of the atoms, and when they are vibrating more, because there is more heat, they take up more space, so they are further apart, and when they cool down, the vibrations are smaller, so they are not taking as much space in between. Do not say, which is a common mistake in exams, that the atoms get bigger or smaller. That's not what happens. The atoms stay the same size, it's just that the spaces in between them increase or decrease. Another common mistake is when people say atoms start to vibrate. No, they are already vibrating unless they are at absolute zero, okay? Now, more about conductions. Metals are very good conductors. Non-metals are usually poor conductors, which I can call insulators. And there's going to be a video that I'm going to do about insulation as well. Gases are very poor conductors because you need to imagine that you need to wait for the particles to collide to pass on the extra energy. There is a video about conduction of heat, and I believe the guy in the video also talks about insulation. So anyway, I'm going to put that video in the description in case you want to see, okay? Now, conduction in metals. As you can see, I'm heating up one side of my rod, for example, and as you can see, the vibrations are being passed on, okay? This particular slide is not mine. I think it's from Boardworks. So this is how conductions in a non-metal happens, okay? So you are heating a rod, the atoms are vibrating more and more, the vibrations make the adjacent atoms vibrate and so on, and this is how heat energy travels along the rod, okay? So it travels from hot to cold, okay? Now, metals. Metals are very good conductors. Not only they are solids and the atoms can vibrate and pass on the vibrations quite easily, but they also have free electrons, and these free electrons carry the energy around. Now, think about it. If you think about the periodic table, metals are in the first or second group, right? Most of them are in the first or second group. I'm not thinking about the transition metals. So, if you may know this, the group number tells you how many electrons you have in the last shell, so the valence electrons, okay? And these electrons are poorly, I cannot even say attached, but they are poorly attracted by the atom, by the center of the atom, by the nucleus, so they are free to move about, okay? So metals, because they are in group 1 and 2 of the periodic table, they will either have 1 or 2 valence electrons. That's very far off of the 8, which is what makes, like for example in the noble gases, which make them be quite stable. That's also why metals can be very reactive, okay? So within physics you're getting a little bit of a chemistry lesson. So what happens is these 1 or 2 electrons that are in the last shell, they are free to move around, okay? So they are free to move, they are called free electrons, and they carry the energy around. So let's see here, for example. Again, I remember when I said boardwork, so maybe it was footprint science. Anyway, as I told you, all the slides are mine unless I tell them that they are not. And here we are going to look at a conduction in metals, okay? So let's just take a look at it. So the red is showing that all those atoms are vibrating and hot, and as you can see, the small blue dots, those are the free electrons, and they can easily pass around. They are passing around the metal, okay? So this is how conduction happens in solids, more specifically in metals. So that is it for conduction and for today. If you have any questions, let me know. As always, be happy and healthy. Until my next video. Bye!